After 15 years of marriage, I thought I'd seen every side of my mother-in-law, Patricia. The disapproving glances at my career choices, the subtle digs about my parenting, the constant comparisons to her perfect daughter, Amanda. But nothing could have prepared me for the day she started being nice. It began 3 months ago with a phone call that left me staring at my cell phone in disbelief. "Margaret, darling," Patricia's voice dripped honey through the speaker. "I was just thinking about that delicious lasagna you made last Christmas. Would you share the recipe?" I nearly dropped my coffee. In 15 years, Patricia had never once complimented my cooking. In fact, last Christmas she'd made a show of only eating the sides Amanda had brought, claiming she had a sensitivity to my seasonings. The lasagna. I managed to stammer. "Yes, dear, and while you're at it, why don't you and Michael come over for dinner this weekend? Bring Emma too, I miss my granddaughter." That dinner turned into weekly visits. Suddenly, Patricia wanted to hear all about my work at the publishing house. She asked Emma about her college applications. She even defended my parenting choices when Amanda made snide comments about Emma's gap year plans. "Emma's mother knows what's best," Patricia said firmly, shooting down Amanda's suggestion that a gap year would ruin Emma's future. "Margaret has always made excellent decisions for her children." Michael was thrilled. "See," he'd say, beaming at me across the dinner table. "I told you Mom would come around eventually." But something felt off. Years of emotional whiplash had taught me to be wary of Patricia's moods. "It's weird, right?" I confided to Emma one evening as we did the dishes. "The way she's suddenly being so supportive." Emma scrubbed the plate with unusual intensity. "Yeah, weird." Something in her tone made me look closer. My daughter's jaw was set in that familiar way that meant she was wrestling with something. "Emma, what aren't you telling me?" She shook her head. "Not yet, Mom. I'm still figuring something out. But just be careful, okay?" The strange dance continued through October and into November. Patricia called regularly, always eager to chat. She sent thoughtful little gifts, a scarf in my favorite color, a first edition of a book I'd mentioned loving. She even took my side in a family argument about Thanksgiving dinner. "Of course we'll have it at Margaret's house," she announced during Sunday dinner. "She's the best cook in the family." Amanda's face turned an interesting shade of purple. "But Mom, we always have it at your house." "Well, this year we're changing things up." Patricia patted my hand. "I'm sure Margaret will make it absolutely wonderful." I spent the next 3 weeks planning the perfect meal. Despite my lingering unease, part of me desperately wanted to believe that Patricia had finally accepted me. That after 15 years, she could finally see me as a daughter rather than an interloper who'd stolen her son. The morning of Thanksgiving dawned crisp and clear. I'd been up since 5, putting the turkey in and starting the sides. Emma came down early to help, but she seemed distracted, checking her phone constantly. "Everything okay, honey?" I asked as she nearly put salt instead of sugar in the cranberry sauce. "Fine," she said quickly, too quickly, just waiting to hear about something. Guests started arriving at 2. Amanda came first with her husband and 3 kids, making a show of checking the turkey to ensure it was done properly. Patricia arrived at 2:30, carrying a bottle of expensive wine and beaming at me like I was her favorite person in the world. "Margaret, the house smells divine." She hugged me tight. "I brought your favorite Cabernet. Shall I open it now?" I was heading to the kitchen to get a corkscrew when Emma's phone buzzed. She pulled it out, read something, and went pale. "Mom?" Her voice was tight. "Can you come here for a second?" "Honey, I need to." "Now, Mom. Please." Something in her tone made me follow her into the quiet of the study. She closed the door behind us, hands shaking slightly. "Get your coat and trust me, Mom," she whispered, glancing at the door. "We need to leave. Right now." "What?" "Emma, we can't just." "Please." Her eyes filled with tears. "I can explain everything in the car. But right now, I need you to trust me. Dad's going to meet us at Aunt Susan's in an hour. Your father, but he's not even here yet." "Because I told him to wait. Mom, please. Do you trust me?" I looked at my daughter, my brilliant, perceptive daughter who'd been watching and waiting and putting pieces together while I'd been blinded by hope. "Of course I trust you." "Then get your coat. I'll tell everyone you got an emergency call about Grandma Helen." 5 minutes later, we were in my car, Emma behind the wheel because my hands were shaking too badly to drive. As we pulled away from the house, I saw Patricia watching from the window, her face a mask of confusion. Emma, what is going on? She grabbed a manila envelope from her backpack and handed it to me. Open it, but maybe wait until we're stopped at a light. You're not going to believe what Grandma Pat's been planning. My hands trembled as I opened the manila envelope at the first red light. Inside were bank statements, property records, and what looked like private investigator reports, all with my name on them. I found these in Grandma Pat's study last week, Emma explained, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. I was looking for stamps in her desk drawer when I knocked over a folder. These fell out. The first document was a detailed report on my maternal grandmother Helen's deteriorating health. Not the sanitized version we shared with family, but the real medical records, complete with doctor's notes about early-stage dementia. How did she get these? I whispered. These are private medical records. Keep reading, Emma said grimly. The next paper was a property assessment of Grandma Helen's lake house. The one she'd promised to leave me in her will. The one I'd spent every summer in as a child. The one Patricia had casually mentioned would make a lovely retirement home during one of our recent dinners. 3 weeks ago, I overheard Grandma Pat on the phone with her lawyer, Emma continued. She was asking about power of attorney requirements for someone with diminished mental capacity. My blood ran cold as I pieced it together. She's trying to get control of Grandma Helen's assets before she passes, yes. Emma turned onto Aunt Susan's street. She found out about the lake house somehow. She's been buttering you up, trying to get closer to Grandma Helen through you. The last document in the pile was a half-drafted letter to an elder care attorney, written in Patricia's elegant handwriting. It detailed concerns about Grandma Helen's ability to manage her own affairs, suggesting that decisions about her care and assets should be handled by family members with more experience in these matters. That's why she moved Thanksgiving, I realized, feeling sick. She wanted to keep us away from Grandma Helen today. She's probably there right now, with her lawyer. No, she's not. Emma allowed herself a small smile as she pulled into Aunt Susan's driveway. Because Dad's there, with our lawyer. Michael was waiting on the front porch, his face etched with a fury I'd never seen before. Next to him stood Gloria Chen, our family attorney, holding a briefcase and looking grimly satisfied. Did you show her? Michael asked Emma as we hurried up the steps. The documents, yes, but I thought you should explain the rest. Inside, Aunt Susan immediately wrapped me in a hug while Michael paced the living room. I couldn't believe it at first, he said, running his hands through his hair. My own mother. When Emma showed me what she found, I hired a private investigator of our own. Gloria opened her briefcase and pulled out another set of documents. Patricia has done this before, she explained. 10 years ago, she manipulated her way into becoming power of attorney for her cousin Barbara. Within 6 months, Barbara's lake property was sold, and the money was redistributed into accounts under Patricia's control. Barbara died believing she'd lost everything in bad investments, Michael added bitterly. We found 3 other cases, all following the same pattern. Mom finds elderly relatives with valuable property, works her way into their confidence, and now she's targeting my grandmother. My voice sounded distant to my own ears. Not anymore, Gloria said firmly. We've already filed for a protection order. Your grandmother's assets are being placed in a secure trust, with you and your Aunt Susan as co-trustees. And we're reopening investigations into the previous cases. My phone buzzed. Patricia calling. Then Amanda. Then Patricia again. Don't answer, Michael advised. Mom's probably realized something's wrong by now. Let her sweat. As if on cue, a text from Patricia popped up. Margaret, darling, is everything all right? We're all so worried. Please let us know about Helen. The false concern made my stomach turn. I thought about all the times Patricia had criticized my relationship with Grandma Helen, calling me overly attached and suggesting I was babying her. All the times she tried to exclude Grandma Helen from family events. It hadn't been about dislike, it had been about isolation. I should have seen it, I whispered. All those years of keeping us apart. Hey, Michael knelt in front of me, taking my hands. None of us saw it. She's had decades to perfect this act. But she slipped up this time. She got greedy. She underestimated Emma, Aunt Susan added proudly. Emma blushed. I just knew something felt wrong. Grandma Pat being nice to Mom, After 15 years of treating her like dirt? No way. More texts flooded in. Amanda, Mom's really upset. How dare you ruin Thanksgiving like this? Patricia again. Darling, please call me. I'm just sick with worry about poor Helen. What do we do now? I asked Gloria. Now, she smiled grimly. Now we go on the offensive. Your mother-in-law thought she was laying a trap for your grandmother. Instead, she walked right into one of her own. The confrontation happened 3 days after Thanksgiving. We arranged to meet Patricia at our lawyer's office, though she didn't know Gloria would be there. She swept in wearing her favorite business meetings outfit, the one she wore when she wanted to intimidate people. Margaret, darling. She moved to hug me, but I stepped back. Her smile faltered slightly. I was so worried when you left on Thanksgiving. Is Helen all right? Why didn't you tell us, Mom? Michael's voice was ice cold. After all, you seem to know more about her medical condition than her own family does. Patricia's face went blank for a fraction of a second before the concerned mask slipped back into place. I'm sure I don't know what you mean, dear. Let me refresh your memory. Gloria stepped forward, laying out the documents Emma had found. Medical records obtained illegally, property assessments, draft letters to your lawyer about seeking power of attorney, and reports from your private investigator tracking Helen's deteriorating health. The color drained from Patricia's face. She sank into a chair, her hand fluttering to her throat. Where did you? Those are private. Private? I couldn't hold back anymore. Like my grandmother's medical records were private, like Barbara's financial records were private before you drained her accounts. Barbara. Patricia's eyes widened. How do you know about? We know everything, Mom. Michael's voice cracked. The cousins, the family friends, all of it. How many times have you done this? How many families have you destroyed? For a moment, Patricia seemed to shrink in her chair. Then her spine straightened, and her face hardened into something ugly and familiar, the expression she'd worn for 15 years when looking at me. You ungrateful children, she hissed. I've only ever tried to keep this family's assets secure. These elderly relatives, they can't manage their own affairs. Someone has to step in, make sure the family wealth is properly protected. You mean stolen? Emma interrupted from the doorway. She walked in carrying another folder. I have the bank records showing where the money went, Grandma Pat. Every penny from every protected relative. Funny how it all ended up in your accounts. Patricia turned to Michael, her eyes filling with tears. Surely you can't believe I would. Michael, I'm your mother. Not anymore. Michael's voice was quiet but firm. You have two choices, Mom. Either you sign these papers agreeing to stay away from Helen and her assets, or we take everything we found to the police. All of it, every case, every victim. You wouldn't dare. But her voice trembled. What would Amanda say? What would the family think? Amanda knows, I said softly. We sent her copies of everything this morning. She's been calling for hours, but not to defend you. She wants to know if her husband's aging parents are next on your list. That was the final blow. Patricia's shoulders slumped as the fight drained out of her. Without another word, she signed the papers Gloria placed in front of her. If you come near my grandmother or any of her assets, I said as she stood to leave, if you try to contact her or us in any way, these files go straight to the police. Do you understand? She gave me one last venomous look. I should have known you'd turn my son against me. You never belonged in this family. No, Mom, Michael said, taking my hand. Margaret and Emma showed us what real family looks like. They protected someone they love. You're the one who never belonged. After she left, Emma hugged us both. I've got to get back to campus, she said. Finals week starts Monday. Wait, I called as she reached the door. How did you know to start investigating? What made you suspicious? She smiled. Remember when I was little and you read me Nancy Drew mysteries? You always said the most suspicious thing is when someone changes their behavior completely. When Grandma Pat suddenly started being nice to you. Well, I just channeled my inner Nancy Drew. 1 year later, we celebrated Thanksgiving at the lake house. Grandma Helen sat at the head of the table, her mind clearer after we'd adjusted her medications. Aunt Susan carved the turkey while Emma told everyone about her first semester of law school. Michael's hand found mine under the table, squeezing gently. We'd heard through family gossip that Patricia had moved to Florida, and Amanda had cut contact after discovering her mother had been borrowing money from her children's college funds. Some days I felt guilty about breaking up the family, but then I'd remember Barbara and all the other victims of Patricia's schemes. "More pie, Margaret?" Grandma Helen asked, her eyes twinkling. "You always did make the best apple pie in the family." "Thanks, Grandma," I said, feeling the warmth of belonging, real belonging, wash over me. I learned from the best. As I looked around the table at my real family, the people who loved and protected each other without schemes or conditions, I silently thanked Patricia for one thing. Her sudden kindness had seemed so suspicious that it had set off Emma's warning bells. Sometimes I realized the worst people in our lives lead us to appreciate the best ones even more.